Today's lesson we'll be working on graphing using ordered pairs and input-output tables. When you are dealing with a graph, the horizontal axis is always the x-axis and the vertical axis is always the y-axis. For question 2, they are going to give you a graph with a straight line on it. So this is just a simple line graph with a linear equation. And they're going to ask you to start by finding 3 points on the graph and plotting them. So when you're choosing your points, you want to make sure it is a place where it actually intersects on the grid so you can get to 2 whole numbers, right? Like if we look here, it lines up with 3, but it doesn't line up with 1 or 2. It's somewhere in the middle. So we're looking for places where it comes to a corner. So there's 3 of them there, so that should make it easier for us. So 1, 2, 3. And then we need to write the ordered pairs. So if we look at the first one, we always write our x-axis first because we go in alphabetical order. So the x-axis is 2 and the y-axis is 1. So we would write 2, 1. And then if we looked at our next point, start with the x-axis is 5 and the y-axis is 3. So we would write 5, 3. Our third point lines up with x value of 8 and a y value of 5. So we would write 8, 5. And then to fill in our t-table, we just do the first and second numbers in the ordered pair. So 2, 1, 5, 3, 8, 5. So this is the equivalent. We always go x and then y. And our first number will be like our x value, and our second number is like our y value. For question 3, they're going to get you to do the opposite. So go from a t-table and create a graph. So if you start with your t-table, we have our first number and our second number. So the first step is to write the ordered pairs. So our first one would be 2 and 2. Then we would have 3 and 4, 4 and 6, 5 and 8. Now to plot these points on a graph, we need to know which number goes in which axis. So we always go with our first number is our x-axis and our second number is our y-axis because alphabetically that is how your ordered pair would be arranged. It's always x, y. So when we look at our point that is 2 and 2, we have to go to our x value of 2, our y value of 2, and see where they match up. So if we meet right in the middle here, that would be at a 2 for each value. Then you would look at your next set of points. So 3 and 4, so you have to look at x3, y4. So it's going to go up here, and then you can mark that dot in. 4 and 6, so we go 4 all the way up to 6, and then for 5 and 8, 5 is the x, and then we go up to where 8 is on the y, and we plot our point. Question number 4 is going to get you to do the same thing, but instead of calling it first number, they will call it input. And the second number will be output. So when you're making your table of values and your graph, input will be across the bottom and output will be on the side, but you're still looking at the first number first, your x, and then your y. So all of your inputs will be your x values and all of your outputs will be your y values, and you're putting them on the grid. Question number 5 is going to get you to do the same thing, except for you have to make your graph yourself. When they say a coordinate grid, they just mean a graph with an x and a y axis. So there's a few things that you need to remember. Remember to use a ruler. Grid paper is also helpful, but I know that you might not have graph paper at home, so it's okay to use regular lined paper, but just make sure you're using a ruler to draw your two axes, your x-axis and your y-axis. Remember to label each axis X and Y, and also give it a title. So you'd have your X and your Y on the ends, but then going on the surface, just like we saw in our other ones where we had first number, second number, input, output, you need a title for each axis as well. I'm about to give you the weirdest visual explanation of how to remember whether the X or the Y axis goes up and down. So if you make an X like this, your arms fall flat. This is your horizontal axis going this way. If you make a Y, your hands hold up. So this is your Y axis. So X and Y. This will be your first assignment that you are using Google Classrooms for. There is a Google Forms in this assignment, and the question in it asks you to put the ordered pairs that you get for the graph on question 2C, which is on page 82. So your format for this is just where it lets you type in your answers. You can just go comma, here's your number, comma, these are your parentheses, and then you can do the next one. 3, 1. I'm just making up numbers right now, okay? But you just would write in those, and then you can submit it. If I have your Google Form submitted and I don't hear anything else from you, I will assume that you are finished, and I'll put in a mark on fresh grade. If you need help, please go and comment on this assignment on fresh grade so I know to set up a Zoom meeting with you. And if you need help, please do not hesitate to ask me. I am more than happy to sit through some Zoom meetings with you and go through some of the questions. Okay?